Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dare to Share with Mistie Layne. Today is such a beautiful day. We have an amazing guest here for you. I'm so excited to have Miss Amy Boswinkle on. But first, we're going to just take care of a few housekeeping things. I want to thank my sponsor with this short video, please.
Today's show is sponsored by Simple Changes from Wanda Reynolds. Make a simple change today for a healthier tomorrow with products like Simply Satisfy, which aids in gut digestion and curbs your appetite. Mental wellness is directly related to gut health, so keep a happy gut with Simply Satisfy. Then there's Simply Soothe. It helps relax your sore muscles and it supports your overall joint health. Simply Start is made from 100% organic hemp oil. It promotes your calmness, supports sleep, and maintains healthy joints. Contact Wanda Reynolds today through Facebook Messenger or at scdso.com/live life wonderfully.
All right. Thank you for Simple Changes with Miss Wanda Reynolds for being a sponsor for today's show. First things first, I want you to go ahead and jump on over and share this out to all your family and friends. This is one you definitely don't want to miss. Miss Amy has tons of valuable information to share with the audience today. She's overcome so many obstacles. We're going to get to her in just a minute. First, I want you to just do me the favor, share it out real quick to all your groups, all your family, all your friends. Throw some hearts up on the screen for her and for the Dare to Share Mistie Layne show. Also, I invite you to go to my page and join the hashtag Be That One group where we learn together as a community. We're going to come together starting next week. We're going to be doing some writing exercises and some free workshops are going to be offered in the group. So go ahead and get involved in that community now and start talking with your peers and learning all about transparency. Hashtag Be That One is a movement where I encourage others to step up and be that one, share their raw, authentic truth so that we can help educate each other about experiences we've been through. And then hopefully we can learn to judge less and mentor more. So jump onto that page for me. Go ahead and like and share that out and invite your friends as well. Also, I want to say if you want to be a guest on the show, type the word guest into the subject line and email it to mistielayne@mistielayne.com. I would love to get you in the lineup. Pretty booked out right now, but I could get you in starting in September probably. I'd love to have you on. We are now 2 days a week. Woo, woo. Today is our first Tuesday to broadcast. I'm so excited about that. Such a blessing, and I thank you all for being here with us today. Also, I am the best-selling author of the book, What Goes Up? There's a lot of good information in here about addiction, domestic abuse, just about learning how to overcome your worst to live your best. There's a chapter called Cope Equals Hope. It's a 4-step method that will help walk you through forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of others, and just releasing a lot of toxic shame and guilt that you're carrying around. Also helping you conquer those limiting beliefs that you might not even realize that you have stored away, hidden inside. So you can order this on the mistielayne.com website, and I can send you a signed copy, or you can go to Amazon or any of the bookstore websites, Walmart, Target, any of them, and order you a copy there. All right, so now let's talk about our guest. Our guest, Miss Amy Boswinkle. Whew, I tell you, I first met Amy. We were in the Next Impactor competition together, and she is dynamite. She led us in votes for a long good while. She had a beautiful picture. I don't think I have it prepared just yet. Later in the show, I'll bring it up. It's a picture of her standing in front of a long road with snow, and she's just like a beautiful little snow bunny standing there. And she used that picture to promote in the Next Impactor and had thousands of votes, way ahead of all of us. Early on, jumped early on to that media wagon there. So she definitely knows how to bring the people in. She's full of knowledge because she's lived through so many things. She's going to talk to us today about childhood trauma, PTSD, sexual abuse, heroin addiction, alcohol addiction, binge eating. That's something a lot of us deal with, and we don't even really know what to call it. We don't even realize that we're binge eating. So she's going to talk to us about that. But what makes Amy so unique and so special in one of the ways is that she didn't rely on traditional methods to help herself pull herself up. She turned to non-traditional methods, and she's going to talk to us about that today as well. So I'm going to invite you to please ask Amy questions. Please jump on and interact with us. Amy would love to answer your questions. Hello, Benjamin. Hello, John Clark. Nice to have y'all here. Thank you for joining me. Please ask questions if you would along the way. All right, so let's quit stalling and let's bring Miss Amy in here. And here she is, guys, Miss Amy Boswinkle.
Hello.
Hi, beautiful.
Hi. Can you guys see me? I can't see myself on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay, we can see you beautifully. There's no shadow, no halo. It's perfect.
Good, because I
Looks
can't
great.
see myself on the screen. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you today. I'm so excited to be here with you, Misty. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It is such a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. I knew I had to have you as a guest because I know you from the Next Impactor, like I said, and I know what you've been through, and I knew you would be a powerhouse to bring on. So I'm so thankful that you're here. And Ellie says hi. That must be one of your friends, huh?
Yes.
Ellie
Hi,
Rad.
Ellie. Yes. Hello. Hello. Thank you for being here with us.
Hi. Yes, make sure you share this out for us, Ellie. We're trying to get as many people in here to hear Amy's story as possible. We just never know who might need to hear her story today to help bring someone out of some darkness, okay? All right, Amy. So the first thing I would like to do today is invite you to take about 2 minutes and just kind of brag on yourself. Tell us about some of your accomplishments, the things you're most proud of, some of your credentials you've got. Take about 2 minutes and just tell us all the good stuff right up front. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. It's always so much easier to share all of the pain points than all of our celebrations, but I've really been shifting my mindset and coming over to this side and being able to share that. So, oh my goodness, the past 3 years has been the most transformational, amazing journey of my life. 3 years ago, I became my own boss. I started my own business. And that is something I never, ever, ever in a million years thought would happen for me. I always thought that I would have, I was lucky enough to have a job at a health food store, and that's what I thought that I was going to live with for the rest of my life. And it was an amazing place. But really stepping into this space of being my own boss and teaching other people the things that I learned on my journey around how to change your health through my personal 5-step approach. And that is watching your sugar and carbs, watching candida, eliminating or lowering inflammation, watching digestive distress, and then helping with adrenal fatigue. So I taught on that for a while.
Hang on, right there. You can't just drop golden eggs like that and take off, okay? We got to slow it down.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to ask someone, Ellie or Rachel, someone that's watching, please, if you would, type these into the comments for me. Let's slow it down, Amy. There was 5 golden nuggets there. Let's start over. What was the first one? Someone typed, or here, I'll try to type too. What's the first one?
That is watching sugar and carbs, watching the amount of sugar and carbs we intake.
Okay. Is there a limit on it? How many grams per day or anything?
Really, I don't use traditional approaches. I use an energetic approach where I have people connect to their body and see what feels good energetically versus what takes their energy away.
Okay. Thank you, Ellie, for doing that. Okay. Number 2. What's number 2?
Watching the amount of candida. So knowing what candida is, and candida is a type of fungus or yeast that lives in the gut. But when we're eating too many sugar and carbs, it tends to overgrow and wreak havoc on our digestive system and in time our immune system if it isn't caught.
Is that what makes our belly fat?
That's excess cortisol, actually. That goes with adrenal fatigue. Yes.
Stress, yeah. Okay. All right. And what's number 3?
Number 3 is watching how much inflammation that you have going on in your body. And that is contributed from the sugar and carbs that we intake and the amount of candida overgrowth we may have in our body.
Okay. And number 4?
Number 4 is digestive distress. So once we've intaked too many sugar and carbs, and the candida has overgrown, and now we have the inflammation markers in our DNA turned on. It starts to cause digestive distress, and 80% of our immune system is in our digestive system. So then it starts to affect our immune system as well as our digestive system.
Okay. And number 5.
Number 5 is adrenal fatigue, and that's the amount of stress. And we all have stress going on in our life. The amount of stress that we go through in a day, and the amount of cortisol and adrenaline we're producing in our body, because the body only knows fight or flight. And any stressor, minor or major, the body sees as a threat. So it's going to be producing cortisol and adrenaline to keep us alive.
Okay, great. So what is this? What are these 5 things called?
It's my personal 5-step approach to health, to transformational health. And it's the approach that as I was studying the human body to heal myself from alcoholism, heroin addiction, and binge eating disorder, when I was studying biology, chemistry, physiology, anatomy, and energy medicine and medical intuition, it all kind of came together to a head and made sense, and provided a really concrete 5-step approach that I was able to connect to. And then not only was I able to connect to it and understand my own body, but I was able to take that information and share it with other people in an easy, actionable way for them as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so let's jump into your story, Amy.
Sure.
So what I'm curious about, I mean, everything you've been through is horrific because we all have our own life stories and they're all personal and horrific to us. No one ever needs to try to equate one person's life adversity to another. It's not a competition, you guys, okay? We all have adversity and it means different things to different one of us. So don't try to compare your story. Don't ever be fearful to stand up and speak your story and think, oh, mine's not bad enough. No one wants to hear about this because there's always, the goal is to help people. So whatever it is you have to share, it's going to help people. So what I'm most curious about with you, because we haven't even discussed this topic on any other show before, is the binge eating. First, I want you to define what exactly constitutes binge eating, how you started doing it and realized it, and how you brought yourself out of it.
Sure. So binge eating to me was starving myself all day long and sometimes for multiple days in a row. And then getting to a point where, and it usually was in the evening time, where I would go and I would grab bags of potato chips and sweets and all sorts of things. And I would put it out in front of me. And I would say to myself, I'm only going to have a few of each of these. I would be literally starving, and I'm only going to have a few of each of these. But once I took one bite, it started a frenzy within my body because it was starving to death. And so I would literally just be shoving food in my face, and my body would be very, very full. And I knew it would be full, but it wasn't triggering a hunger signal in my brain. So I would still continue to eat to the point of feeling disgusting and gross and bloated and really painful in my body. And this cycle continued for me throughout, honestly, 20 or 25 years of my life. And it stemmed from when I was in first grade. Because of the sexual abuse that I had endured, I lost my voice because the person who sexually abused me when I was 3 years old was a family member, and they told me to never tell or nobody would love me anymore. So I learned to not talk. And I'm not saying that I never spoke because that would be a lie, but it was very hard for me to communicate with other people. And when I was in first grade,
This was first grade?
Yeah, this is first grade. Mm-hmm.
That's young.
I remember the teacher, asking me questions, and I would just look at her. I couldn't answer her questions. I literally couldn't speak. So she thought I was a special needs student. So she sent me down to the special needs classroom, and it was there that I think that's the first time I realized that I loved helping people, because the classroom was smaller. There was maybe only 4 or 5 students in there, and I thrived because they needed help, and I loved helping people. But the teachers in that classroom quickly realized that I didn't belong there. So I was sent back to the regular classroom, and I was just kind of sent to the back of the room and ignored, not worked with or anything like that. And nobody told me this, but I created a story from that event that I was stupid and I was fat and I was ugly. And I
Were
told
you
myself that story over and
were you
over.
overweight, Amy? We're
I've
talking first grade here. Were you overweight?
I've never been overweight in my life.
So this is
No.
something in your head. Was
Yes.
somebody telling you were fat?
No, nobody told
All
me.
self-induced. And you
Yes.
you think that this was like a sabotage because of the sexual abuse you had gone through, that maybe you were sabotaging yourself? Do you believe that maybe that's what it stemmed from? Because first grade, come on, that's little bitty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I do believe it was a form of sabotage. And I do, when I go back in my timeline, my mom passed away in 2008. She was an opiate addict and she accidentally overdosed and passed away. But when I look back on my timeline, my mom suffered from weight issues. And I can remember, her having tears running down her face because she wanted to lose weight so badly, and she would call herself names. So I'm sure somewhere in all of that, I picked up,
Mm.
what she was saying.
Okay, so you're binge eating. So you would starve yourself, then you would go on a feeding frenzy and binge eat. Were you making yourself throw up afterwards too?
Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't.
Okay, so how long did this go on for? You're talking first grade. So how old were you when this stopped?
I was 40.
40?
Yeah, I was 40
You,
years old when it stopped. Yeah.
you don't even look 40 now.
You're so sweet.
Oh my gosh, you don't even look like you're 40. So you've been binge eating your entire life?
Yeah, I suffered from eating disorders almost all of my life till I was 40. I'm about to turn 44 in less than a month.
Wow. So okay, well, let me just back up for just a minute. Share at your own comfort level, but remember, this is Dare to Share. I do and encourage transparency, because remember, what you're sharing here, Amy, isn't for you. It's for the person that needs to hear it. Okay. You got to let go of the shame and guilt. There is no judgment here at all. This is about helping other people. So let's just back up for just a minute. You said that you were molested by a family member when you were 3. I'm trying to think back if I have memories of 3 years old. Do you remember it, or were you just told it happened?
I remember it very vividly, and there's another memory of at 3 years old that I have with my great grandmother who was passing away from cancer. I very vivid memories. Yes.
Oh yeah. Some people say they've got memories even further, earlier on than that. I don't think I do, but I mean, I know that it exists. So, this family member was someone you trusted and loved, and someone that was close to you?
Yes.
Yes. So right off the bat, things are all screwed up, aren't they?
Yes.
Did you know at that early age, did you know that what was happening was wrong, or because you didn't know any better, you just thought that was the way life was?
I'm going to do my best to describe it because it feels very disconnected. It feels like outwardly it was a very a very innocent thing. Like I really didn't know what was going on, but my internal or my soul, it was almost as if I knew it wasn't right, but I couldn't pinpoint it. Like I couldn't be like, how is this wrong? But yet I know this person and I love this person and I trust them. And if they're telling me if I ever tell, nobody will ever love me again, then that's what I believed.
That was my next question. Did you ever tell anyone? Ever?
I didn't tell anyone until my mid-20s when I first started to attempt suicide.
Oh, I didn't even know about that part of your story. Oh my goodness. So you didn't tell, so I can understand, and I, I've been there too. Mine was suppressed. I didn't even know I had been molested as a child until I was in my 30s, late 30s, when it came out through writing, because I had used little Debbie cakes, cocaine, whatever, to just make it go away, right? So throughout this time, early on, you're not telling anyone because you're afraid, because they've threatened you. But then as you get older and you become a teenager, you realize that, they might not have that much power and control over you. What kept you from telling then? Why wait until you're in your 20s?
There's a few when we're having this conversation, there's a few people I told along the way. I can remember telling a gentleman I dated as a teenager. I can remember telling a few of my college friends. But what I think prevented me from telling my family was shame and guilt, and what would they think of me? It was always like a self-blame thing. I knew young that I had to forgive the person who had harmed me in order to move forward, but the person who was hardest to forgive was myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So you've worked through that childhood trauma. Where did the heroin and the alcohol come into play? How old were you, and how did you even get introduced to it? I said your mom was an opiate user, so did your mom introduce you to it?
No, my parents were pretty strict, actually. So I didn't start drinking. I maybe had a few drinks, maybe as a senior in high school, but not very many. It was when I went away to college.
Hmm.
I had freedom in a way that I had never had it before because I went away from home.
Right.
It was about 3.5 hours away, and I became an adult for the for the first time. And so I didn't come from a family with money, and my parents were supportive of me going to college, but they also let me know that I had to, pretty much figure out how I was going to live on my own, as far as like being able to pay for college and living expenses and things like that. They helped where they could, but I had to pitch in, and I paid. So I worked full time, I went to school full time, and I became a full time partier in college. And it started with alcohol and marijuana, which led to pills. Um,
Hmm.
I was never really much for uppers, but I really wasn't picky either. So there was occasional cocaine, occasional crack, smoking crack and things of that nature. Um, After I graduated from college, things just kind of downward spiral to where I became suicidal very frequently. And my friends really couldn't handle that. So they called my parents, and I ended up coming to live back at home because I was just too unstable. So I came back home, and I started to get DUI after DUI after DUI. I have 3 DUIs. And through that journey, I ended up connecting with the wrong crowd, met some gang members, and it was probably, I was 29, I think, when I started using heroin. I was hanging out with gang members by then, and traveling to the projects of Chicago every night just to buy dope.
So your mom being a user herself, I just think back to my addiction and the kind of parent that I was during my addiction. Was your mom present as a role model? Was she present as a parental figure, or was she just merely a being in the home?
She would show up when things were happening in the family. Like if a family member got sick or needed help, my mother had the most beautiful heart.
Hmm.
Honest to goodness, she was a really good person, but she was very non-present. I didn't understand when I was young. She would sleep a lot, and her moods were erratic, and and she'd be up for days on end, and you never knew which version of her you were going to get. But there are moments that I do remember her being, present and showing up and being very helpful and kind. And as I said, my mom's heart was golden. She was I've had a lot of mixed feelings about my mom in my life, but I've done enough healing work to look back and be so grateful, because she is the best teacher I have ever had in my whole life. And without her being the way she was, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Absolutely. And I'm so sorry that she's gone. I feel for you with that, because oftentimes I know one of the very first times I ever shared my story on a stage, and I was so nervous that people were going to judge me because I had smoked crack and because I had killed someone. I was so afraid of what they thought of me, because at then I didn't realize it wasn't about me. I still thought it was about me back then. But I remember when I came down off the stage, a lady came up to me and just grabbed me, and she just started sobbing and held me so tight. And I said, "Oh my gosh," I said, what has this done? Like, what did this spark in you? She said, "You have no idea." She said, "My mother was a crack addict and she died. And I never understood her side of the story. I never realized the struggle she went through in her addiction, and how badly, from hearing me talk about it, how badly she didn't want that life, but what a hold it had on her." And she said, "And I've hated her, and I've been mad at her for dying. I've been mad at her for what she did." She said, "But you just shed light on it for me, and I can forgive her, and I understand her now." So I think that's just beautiful that you are able to see the good in your mom, and that you don't resent her and you're not angry over it. I think that's a beautiful thing, Amy. People need to learn from these stories. I mean, that's what we do it for, right? That's why we share it.
Yes.
And, I want to go back to and just mention real quick, because here's Michelle Weather. Most users are unpredictable and disappoint those they love. Absolutely, they do. Michelle, you're right. And that's kind of where I was going back to, is when you talked about you started your drinking when you moved away to college. That's my favorite age of people to speak to, is college, because what I like to tell them is, if you think you want to go get high at a party, when you leave here today, I'm going to make damn sure you know what you're signing up for, because addiction is no joke. It doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, what color you are, if you wear heels, if you don't wear heels. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter. You have to respect those moments of choice, because if you don't, they're going to become your lifetime of decisions, which is exactly what happened to me, and someone's dead because of it. So, it's Jan again. String says, "Thank you so much for sharing." So it's important. And I'm glad that you don't blame your mother. A lot of people, it's really easy to throw blame. And I think that's part of the self-forgiveness, and part of the journey to heal is taking that accountability for our own decisions and actions. Okay, so you gone through your trauma. You're still binge eating at this point. Alcohol, DUIs, back and forth, heroin now to deal with. You're running with gangs. What made you snap, or how were you able to break loose from all of that? I could barely manage one addiction, Amy. You're talking multiple addictions here. How did you break from that?
When I got my third DUI, I was looking at spending a year in jail, and that was my personal bottom. I was driving my car. I was intoxicated. I still struggle, although I've done a lot of healing there. There's part of my brain, even though this didn't happen, that I'm so grateful I didn't hit a family or, hurt anybody. I didn't, but my brain tricks me sometimes, like, what if I did? But I was driving, and yeah. I drove head first into a telephone pole, and my airbag deployed. And I remember just kind of like my head went forward. I had burn marks all over my face, and I passed out. And when I woke up, there was a whole group of people standing around me, and they were knocking on the car door, asking if I was okay. And in my head, in the manic, crazy state that I was in, because I was out of my mind, wasted on alcohol and who knows what else at that point in time, pills, I'm sure, and who knows what else. I thought I have to run because if the police come here, then I'm going to be going to jail. I can't go to jail. So I unlocked the car door, and I remember I got out and I started to run, but there was such a group of people, they created a barrier and they wouldn't let me run through them. So I ran back into the car and I locked the car door, and they're all like standing around me because I have blood dripping down my face from the airbag, like hitting me. And the next thing I know, the policeman gets there. I get in the police car. It's summer. It's in July. And he didn't have air conditioning, so his window was rolled down in the back where I was about 3/4 of the way. So there was only about so much of the window sticking up. And I've always been really flexible, so I was able to shimmy the handcuffs, below my legs and bring them in front of me and shimmy out of the seat belt. And I shimmied myself up onto the window because I was attempting suicide because I wasn't about to go to jail. So I was sitting on the windowsill as the policeman was driving the car, and I rolled myself backwards out the window while he was driving, hoping to crack my head open so that I would just die and not have to go to jail. And so
gosh.
obviously,
What was the big fear of jail? I mean, why were you so afraid? Had your mom been in and out of jail? Had you seen
no.
that?
Mm-mm. It just, I don't know. It was just a huge fear of mine that I just could not go there.
Was it the fear of maybe shame, or was it the actual physical being in jail that you were scared of?
The actual physical being in jail.
Oh, wow.
Like losing my freedom.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow. So did the cops stop? How did you get out of that? What happened?
So I was I did a few like somersaults backwards down the road. He stopped the car. He flipped out. And obviously, I mean, I don't blame him. He's like, "What are you doing? Oh my gosh," and got me back in the car, and we went to the police station. They called an ambulance, and I was taken to the psych ward until I detoxed enough and came back to my senses. And by that point, my parents, all my family had turned their back on me. I had lost my job. I totaled my car. I had nothing at this point. I literally had nothing. And my parents decided to take me back into their home one last time, under the condition that I had to have a job. They helped me. I had a little money. They helped pay for the bail so that I didn't have to go, into the county jail. And I went back to live with them under the condition that I had to have a job. And they weren't willing to take me anywhere, like drive me anywhere, because they were very angry with me, rightfully so. So I had to find a job that was close enough to home where I could walk. And 3 blocks away from my house was a health food store that I got hired at that saved my life. It literally saved my life. That's where I studied the human body nonstop until I was able to heal myself, because up until that point, I had tried all the things that had been recommended to me, and that was AA and NA and therapy and prescription medication. I was labeled borderline personality disorder. I've been labeled as manic depressive, some kind of anxiety, like high anxiety disorder, and psychotic. I had those 4 labels on me, and I was on prescription medication for those things. And I was able to understand what was going on and heal my body enough that I no longer take any medication. I haven't for 15 or 16 years taken any medicine.
That's amazing. And we're going to talk about that here in just a few more minutes. But I wanted to ask another question, Amy. So do you think that all of these negative thoughts about yourself, all the things that you went through, do you think every bit of it came from the sexual abuse at such an early age? Or do you believe that people are predispositioned to like psychotic episodes or bipolar, or, all those titles? Do you think that it was a imbalance in your brain, or do you think it was literally from the trauma?
I believe it was from the trauma and the choices that I made regarding alcohol and drugs that messed up the biochemistry in my body, and including the stories that I told myself and the feelings that I held around myself. That particular part of the biochemistry contributed to the hormonal imbalance in my body. That's my belief for myself.
Right. Okay. All right, Amy, we're going to take a short break and thank our sponsor for the show. And then when we come back, I'm going to ask you to share your most vulnerable, deep, darkest thing that you're willing to share with us today, the thing that haunts you the most. And then after that, we're going to lighten up and talk about all the good things and how you were able to overcome.
Okay.
All right, so just sit tight for just a second. We'll be right back with Miss Amy, but now a short word about our sponsor.
Today's show is sponsored by Simple Changes from Wanda Reynolds. Make a simple change today for a healthier tomorrow with products like Simply Satisfy, which aids in gut digestion and curbs your appetite. Mental wellness is directly related to gut health, so keep a happy gut with Simply Satisfy. Then there's Simply Soothe. It helps relax your sore muscles and it supports your overall joint health. Simply Start is made from 100% organic hemp oil. It promotes your calmness, supports sleep, and maintains healthy joints. Contact Wanda Reynolds today through Facebook Messenger or at scdso.com/live life wonderfully.
That's such a clever little catch. Live life wonderfully. I love that. Thank you, Miss Wanda Reynolds, for the sponsorship. You guys get over and check her out at that website, or you can always get in touch with Miss Wanda through Facebook Messenger. All right, Amy. So I asked you to think about some of the most vulnerable, darkest time in your life, that things, I guess, when you lay down at night that haunt you the most, that at the level you're willing to share, and just share that with us, because I think it's important for us to share those types of things. Because just a quick little intro into why I asked that. I remember when I went to jail and then to prison, I felt like such a monster because I know the things that I did behind crack cocaine. I know the things that crack had me doing. I know in the beginning I said I would never do those things, but if you're in an addiction, one thing I can promise you is there will be a day you will do them. It will come. Don't ever say it won't, because I promise you, I'll put money on it that it will, if you continue. So there were things I knew I had done, horrible, horrible things that were so polar opposite of my character and me as a person prior to drug use, that I felt like a monster. I felt like I was the most horrible person on earth, not to mention I had killed someone. But in addition to that being a reason not to feel worthy of living, because I was such a monster, I felt I shouldn't be alive. So when I went to prison and I found a group of girls that I built some trust with over time, and we were able to share openly, honestly, and transparently, I found out they too did those similar type things. And what that did for me is it made me realize I wasn't the monster. It allowed me to put the monster title on the crack cocaine. So that's why I feel it's so important. That's why I'm so extremely passionate about transparency. That's my whole platform, is because it takes that title off of us and puts it where it belongs. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that's why I've asked you to share this. So go ahead and share with us whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
There's so many things that could be shared, as you just stated, because when you're deep in addiction, you do become a different person, and you do things that go against every bit of your intrinsic value and who you stand for. And one of the most painful things when I look back is, I can remember going into a crack house, and there were so many people. But what really got me is that there was a room full of children of all ages, little itty bitty infants, through probably 13, 14, 15 years old. And it's really hard to think of using drugs in front of children. But I did.
Yeah.
And that goes against like everything inside of me, because I know the innocence of children. I know that my innocence was ripped away from me. And when I go back and I look at those events in my life and I think about, who I was being in front of those children,
Yeah.
knowing inside that it wasn't right, but doing it anyway because I had to. Like there was like this like demon drive inside of me that I like,
Absolutely.
even though I knew it was wrong, I was going to do it anyway.
Were these kids like in a holding room just to get out of the way, or were they out in the open? Because I've been in that exact situation before, and that crack smoke, it gets the kids all hyped up. It makes them hyper. Um, they want to bounce off the walls, because they're getting the high too.
Yeah.
So they weren't doing the drug though, right? They were sort of like just in a holding area.
They were just in a holding. It was just a place for them to go so that their parents could get
Get high.
high. Yeah.
Wow. That's tough, but Amy, we can't beat ourselves up for it. And that's exactly why you're here sharing today, to educate others. And because there's people out there, I remember when I first started in my crack addiction, I could control it. I could take a few hits or do a Friday night and put it away and not get back on it till the next weekend. And then the days in between got shorter and shorter and shorter. And then eventually I was sleeping on the floor in the bathroom between patients at the hospital because I'd been up 2 nights in a row. And then it got to the point I fell asleep starting an IV on a lady, like literally fell asleep with the needle in my hand, and lied to her and told her I had narcolepsy to get out of it, So I remember those days, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And you've got an amazing success story. We're going to turn around and pivot now and start looking at what you've been able to do, because, oh my goodness, you've got so many accomplishments and titles behind your name and all these wonderful things. And I want to know about Reiki. I mean, I have an aunt. My Aunt Sandy is a Reiki master, but tell the viewers what Reiki is and why you got into it and how you got certified to become a Reiki master teacher, because you teach the masters.
Yes. So Reiki is a form of energy healing that helps to balance the chakras in the body. There are 7 chakras that correlate to, on the physical level, our hormones. And then it also correlates to mental, emotional, and spiritual spaces as well. Sometimes feelings can get stuck and harbored inside of the heart chakra. The heart chakra can hold lots of trauma for long periods of time. So Reiki helps to gently open up the energy centers and help with balance and healing. And the reason why I got so interested in that is, like I said, when I was looking to heal myself, the path that I took of the conventional approach, which works for many people, and I'm not against that at all. It's just that my story just went in a different direction. I was willing to try anything. Anything anybody told me, I was willing to try it. So I found someone in the area where I lived, and she did Reiki. She was also a shamanic healer. And she took me through shamanic journeys, and she helped pull forth soul retrievals for me. And she helped me with Reiki by energetically balancing my chakra body. And I could tell such a huge difference in my energy level and my level of clarity. I started to be able to sleep better. My body started to feel less inflamed, because I felt like I was holding on to a lot of inflammation for a long period of time. So that's how I got introduced to it. It was just a part of my healing path.
How is it different than, say, acupuncture?
So acupuncture uses needles, and Reiki does not. Reiki is a very light touch or no touch therapy, where acupuncture uses needles to hit the meridians in the body. Acupuncture is also based on meridian and meridian points, whereas Reiki is more focused on chakras.
Okay. So how did you is there a course you take? Is there a school you go to? How does a person become a Reiki master?
The reason or the how you can become a Reiki master or Reiki master teacher is you just find someone because we're so blessed in our world today to have Google and knowledge at our fingertips. You can just, Google search, like Reiki practitioner, Reiki master teachers, and see where in your area there might be some classes that are held by a Reiki master teacher. So it's grown so much into, alternative healing has grown so much into some mainstream areas that it's pretty easy to find a practitioner just about anywhere anymore. I'm not saying everywhere, but within driving distance usually.
Okay. All right. And let's see. Michelle says desperate times call for drastic measures. When you think you have tried everything, new treatments show up. That's how I found Reiki too. And I think it's having that deep desire to want to, I mean, if what you're trying is not working, it's so easy just to give up, right? But it's that persistence in no matter what, I'm going to get through this and I'm going to find a way through it, that we keep searching for something new, something better, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so Jana Gunstream had asked a question. She said shock. And I said, are you asking about chakras? So she said
Oh.
yes. So maybe could you just very quickly, a very
Yeah.
light summary of what a chakra is for Jana, please?
Of course, yes. So chakras, there are 7 major chakras in the body. There are hundreds of chakras, but 7 major ones. The root chakras at the base of the in between the legs, and it represents survival. The sacral chakra is below the belly button, but above the pelvic, and it represents feelings. The solar plexus chakra is below the rib cage, but above the belly button, and it is about personal power. The heart chakra is right in the middle of our chest. And it represents like feelings and holding on to repressed feelings from trauma. The throat chakra represents our ability to communicate effectively. The third eye chakra is our ability to be intuitive and to see clearly. And then our crown chakra is our ability to be connected to our higher power or our higher consciousness, if that is a belief that we hold for ourselves.
Those are awesome things. A lot of people don't even realize those things exist in us, or they don't utilize them. All right, Patty Mays is on here. I know Patty through Linda West's Women Action Takers group. I just love and adore her. She's also an energy worker. She's asking, do you use essential oils? But Patty, while she answers, if you wouldn't mind in just a few minutes going on there, since you know about it, you are an energy worker, and just type the word chakra and maybe a good book or a website that Jana could go to do some more research on it, and put it in the comments for us, please, Patty. And talk a little bit quickly, because we're running out of time, about some essential. Patty wants to know, do you use essential oils?
Occasionally, it's not a medium that I personally was attracted to, and I'm not against that, but there were other mediums that I was attracted to more than essential oils. So occasionally I will use them, but it's not um, a, a normal everyday usage for me.
I use essential oils. I have a diffuser by my bed, and every single night I diffuse lavender because I don't sleep well. My brain doesn't want to turn off. I also have a diffuser at work in the hospital in my patient room near the scan table, and I do eucalyptus in there to help calm them as well. And a lot of patients have actually commented on it, and it's something that not many people are brave enough to try to do and bring something like that into the hospital. But they approved for me to have it, and it's really great. So I recommend doing some research on essential oils. Even rubbing peppermint when you have a headache on your temples. Sometimes I've done that to get rid of a headache and not have to take a pill, because I too don't like taking in a bunch of medication. All right, Amy, so talk to us quickly about the books you've co-authored. Talk to us about how you're giving back today, what you do for people, your coaching program, where we can find you, how we can reach you, all that juicy, gooey stuff.
So good. So yeah, my first co-authored book is called Victorious Women Overcoming Mediocrity. It is a co-authored book My story is called Darkness, Darkness Everywhere. And it goes more into depth of the story of my third DUI that I told you guys about, where I hit the telephone pole, my suicide attempt from the back of the police car, and then my 5-step approach to health, how I landed at that health food store, and the 5-step approach to health that I talked about at the beginning of this interview. It just goes more into depth. I also am in a co-authored book from the Next Impactor competition for Coach Vicky and my teammates, who I absolutely loved and adored. Being a part of that competition, where I got to meet you, Misty, and you're just such an inspiration to me in that competition, and the other women that I got to be connected to. And the book is called The Impactors. In that book, it's a co-authored book. There are 11 women, I do believe. And my story of overcoming heroin addiction is in that book. The next question, how do I give back to my community? So I make sure I committed 270-ish some days ago. I committed to doing 365 days of live videos a day. So I have been coming live every day for, like I said, 270-ish. I don't have the exact number days, and making sure I share value-based information with my community, whether that's on my business page or in one of my Facebook groups. I have evolved from being a health coach into a women's energetic mindset, marketing and strategy business coach. So I make sure that I show up in there and I share mindset strategies, marketing strategies, things of that nature to help them move forward in their business. I'm a course creator. I've created over 30 courses now. I have a 1-year intensive school that teaches on medical intuition. So I teach on medical intuition. I also teach Reiki level 1, level 2, Reiki master and Reiki master teacher levels. And so I just make sure that I show up every day. It's really important to me that I just show up every day and I share what's on my heart, and I create value for the people who feel called to be surrounded in my energy here on social media or in my real life. And if people would like to find me, please feel free to friend request me here on Facebook. You can also follow me on my business page. It's Connections Restored. Misty has on the screen right there. That's my website. It does have my current course offering. It's called Alpha Queen. Alpha Queen is about effective communication in business, emotional intelligence, energy, and being able to connect through magnetism, the exact right people. You can draw the exact right people into your life. And if you are a woman in business, please feel free to join my free women's business group. It's called Women Rising, Healing Money Shame.
Awesome. That is so awesome. And I have to put some of your business out on the street, Amy. I apologize.
It's okay.
But you said in the beginning of the interview, you said, I never would have imagined in a million years that I would have my own business. I remember, I don't follow you every day. I mean, we're all over the place. There's so many of us, but I do check in on you and things do pop out and grab my attention. I remember a while back, you had a post you were pretty proud of that you hit a $20,000 month in coaching. Is that correct?
Yes.
$20,000 in coaching. So that tells you right there, you guys, she knows what she's doing. She's got the credentials to back her up. She's got the life experience to back her up. If you need help in any of these areas, Amy is a great person to get in touch with. And she's such a sweetheart too. I know her. She's the sweetest, most calm person. I mean, you can already tell the difference. I'm like, rah, 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 and you're like just calm and you don't fidget. And I'm like, rah, rah, and I got to do all that, So it just shows the difference. And not everybody's for everybody. So the person that fits for you, the coach that fits for you, if Amy's a good fit, give her a call because she knows what she's doing. I'm so thankful to have you here, Amy. It's been such a blessing. I think that you have provided a ton of value. Kimberly gave a message earlier and said, the value you give on your daily message is just absolutely amazing. And if this is just a drop of anything you do daily, then I can imagine what it's like. So you guys go over and start following Amy. Listen to her daily messages. thank you so much for being here today, Amy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm waiting on you to give me that information on your girl. I haven't forgotten about that.
Yes.
I'm excited about that. All right, you guys, Miss Amy Boswinkle, throw her some hearts up on the screen. If you would put in the comments, thank her for sharing with us today. And share this out, please, with your family and friends. It's definitely a lot of value in here. Not just that, there's so much education she provided about Reiki, medical intuition, essential oils, chakras, meridians. I mean, oh my goodness, she's very knowledgeable and she's given us tons of education, a glimpse of it, so we can go start doing our own research and our due diligence and looking into it. Thank you, Kimberly. You're welcome. Everybody tell Amy thank you, and what a great, yes, wow, 20,000 a month, exactly. That's 1 month, girl, 1 month.
Yes.
All right, Amy, I got to take you down so I can thank her sponsors and go out with the show. But thank you, sweetheart, for being here. You're a blessing. I love you.
I love you. Thank you, Misty.
All right. Okay, guys. So that was Miss Amy. There you had it. Oops. I don't think it wants me to take you down. There you go. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for being here. As you see, it is a Tuesday today. So Dare to Share with Mistie Layne has now broadened its horizons. We are now 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central. You guys, if I didn't have a full-time career in nuclear medicine, I would do this every single day, 7 days a week, because I love this. I love this. I'm all about transparency and being able to just sit and have a casual conversation with people in the world that are just full of knowledge and wisdom and advice and educate me and educate you, and us learn and grow together is the most amazing feeling ever. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for saying that. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jana. This has been awesome. It's very exciting. Big things ahead. I can't wait to get my women's retreats going. It's called Write to Ignite Women's Empowerment Retreats, because I'm all about writing. Everybody has their own method. Writing is what saved my life. So I really want to empower women and let them use the pen and see what all the goodness and the talents and all the things they have stored inside that they haven't discovered yet. So we're going to get those going as soon as all the COVID restrictions are lifted. I'll get you all the information on where that first one's going to be located. And we're going to get everyone in that group, be that one, start sharing in the community, jump in there, put your request in to join now, because like I said, next week, we're going to start some free writing workshops in that group, and it is a private group. So you want to be in there to get that going. Okay. Oh, that would be of interest to me. Or I guess you might be talking about the women's retreats, Michelle. Yes, it's going to be amazing, and I can't wait. All right, you guys, I have to sign off. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Please share this out. Join us Thursday night, two nights from now at 6 p.m. Central, same place, same time. All right, you guys, I love you all. Have a great day. Mistie Layne out, Dare to Share out. And thank you, Wanda Reynolds, for being the sponsor of this show today with Simple Changes. Contact Wanda Reynolds and get in on some of that, those good 100% hemp products that can help you with a lot of different areas in your body as well. All right, you guys. Bye. Love y'all.